coming to your trip, right? You mentioned you guys went in the month of November, you and your
Mhm.
wife. So how did you plan? Do you need to have any special planning, booking, or any guidelines to follow before going over there, or maybe especially for Northern Lights? Anything to while planning? I mean, anything to note or be aware about? How did you go about it? About planning the whole trip?
Yeah, so we decided almost like two and a half months in advance that
Mhm.
we are thinking to go to Alaska. Like end of September, early October, we thought about this
Mm.
and that we will go to Alaska. And then first things first, for we got an idea of the temperatures during that time, and it's very cold. So I would like to share that on the coldest temperature on one of the days was -40.
Oh,
So you can imagine -40. So you cannot stand for more than 5 minutes outside in that cold.
yeah.
So even like we experienced that amount of coldness for the first time in life, and we weren't also much prepared for that. We did not anticipate it to go that low. We were we thought, oh, it may go like -10, -15, and all. And so first of all, we thought we went about like to having an idea of the temperatures during
Mm.
those time, like end of November, and then we broke the itinerary, having the major emphasis on like Northern Lights. So
Yeah.
for Northern Lights, there is a particular region called Fairbanks in Alaska,
Okay.
from where it is the best shot to see the Northern Lights. The
Okay.
reason is because the way Northern Lights is seen, there is something called as a KPI index.
Yeah.
So if the KPI index basically is the geographic location of that place through which you can see the Northern Lights. So Northern Lights for a particular amount of the year are always up in the sky. But the regions like Finland, Norway, Alaska are like KP index zero locations. So during with the skies are dark enough, you if you look up, you have a good chance of seeing the northern lights. But that probability reduces if you go downwards from Alaska to KP index different places.
Okay.
So our main stronghold was like Fairbanks, but like uh, to plan this trip, we allocated maximum time to be in Fairbanks. So we were there for 3 nights.
Okay.
The reason being, it's like it's not always guaranteed that you will see the Northern Lights during the first attempt. It depends a lot on environmental factors, weather, cloud cover, haze in the sky. The sky should be dark, moonlight, and all. Lot of phenomena are involved, and you also need that luck. So, as our itinerary was mainly focused on Northern Lights, we allocated maximum time to Fairbanks. So we allocated, keeping that in mind, we kept 3 nights. And then the major airport in Alaska is Anchorage. And so we flew into Anchorage. And we had to fly out of Anchorage. And so I went with my wife and a couple of our friends. So
Mm.
none of them had seen Alaska except me. So they also wanted to see Anchorage. So Anchorage is the capital of Alaska. It's a proper city, commercialized city, and it's a little different, but you won't feel that remoteness or
Okay.
uh, like a village type feel. It's like a proper city, Anchorage, and you won't feel you are in Alaska. So you'll feel like you're in any major city. So first was like dividing the days for this itinerary to be in Anchorage for 2 to 3 days and Fairbanks. The next was like think planning the itinerary of what activities should be kept, and then researching about those what activities can be planned. Much to our surprise, lot of things are not were not open during the
Okay.
month of November. So there are many activities such as glacier landing,
Yeah.
kayaking, glacier cruise, all are closed, and
Okay.
uh, they all get closed around after mid-October.
Okay.
So that is something we also learned. Um, but we were okay because the main
Main
purpose
agenda was
was,
Northern Lights.
yeah, yeah, main agenda was Northern Light. Uh, so keeping that in focus, we booked, like, we're researching about tours which show the Northern Lights and
Yeah.
adventures. We researched about those, and another thing to factor in was like to encounter this cold climate. Like we had to also think about the clothing factor and the
Correct.
layering factor, and also we also planned those things into effect. And one of the two couple of key things were to book proper Airbnbs and proper rental car. So in Alaska, like, to go all these locations, you need to have a rental car.
Yeah.
And in the rental car, you need to have like a 4x4 car, which can be very stable while driving on ice.
Right.
So one thing I would recommend anyone, that you need to have maybe, if possible, get some practice driving on ice, because that was the first time I was driving on ice, and
Yeah.
it was not that easy.
Okay.
And there is like a way and technique to drive on ice, well, to brake on ice and all. I learned it on during the driving trip. But if anyone has while planning the trip, definitely take into account
Mm.
this factor, or try to practice at least maybe for a half an hour after getting the car in city, like driving. If there is ice during the time
Yeah.
people go, then definitely factor in that. And yeah, so mainly, and another thing aspect was like booking the correct air. So after planning the itinerary, like the activity, which was mainly Northern Lights, and planning about the clothing and then rental car, the other thing was like selecting correct Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So we tried to choose because we were four people,
Yeah.
we thought of staying in cabins rather than like a motel or hotel.
Yeah.
So in we tried to book like an Airbnb, which was a little secluded from the city, and that Airbnb was popular for seeing the Northern Lights from the
Yeah.
Airbnb itself. So we also factored into effect, like choosing the right accommodation, and also, yeah, this is the way we plan trip, like allocating the number of days, the majority of days to be in the location where we can see the Northern Lights, factoring the accommodation, the car factor, and also the activities, and the clothing factor.
Yeah. So all those things which you mentioned, right? So if you can share how which portals, so was it you did all of this from some local contact, like after reaching Alaska, like booking the car rental, or maybe getting some clothes which are more suitable and you find it over a better version of it over there, or even the Airbnbs, how did you go about it? Maybe if you can share the portal links, or if you know, if you can suggest that one should better reach Alaska and then book these services over there locally, if you can just shed some light on that.
Yeah, so everything was booked beforehand,
Okay.
before going to Alaska. So let's me start with rental car. Rental car, we booked like one of the like rental car companies, yeah, Enterprise, which is a very prominent company. And the only key factor was to choose the 4x4,
Okay.
uh, because
They would be also recommending it, right? Or it was basis your experience you're suggesting this, because it
uh,
becomes difficult for SUV or sedan to be doing.
it's a so yeah, I was definitely not experienced to drive on ice,
Right.
but I read about this a lot on
Okay.
Reddit and other forums. The primary factor was from Anchorage to go to Fairbanks.
Yeah.
So there are multiple ways you can go. People
Okay.
can, so there is also a train which goes. There
Okay.
is a flight, but we were driving. So the driving distance between Anchorage to Fairbanks is like almost 6 hours.
Oh,
And yeah,
long.
and in the month of November, it snows a lot in Alaska.
Yeah.
Um, so fortunately, it wasn't heavily snowing when we were there, except one day. I'll come to that later. Um, but the roads get icy, and then depends up. The US is pretty good while with clearing the ice, but
Correct.
but still there's like some of the parts of the road which can be icy. So when such are the situations, definitely even the local companies, they would always recommend you 4x4 vehicle,
Okay.
so that it gives you more stability on ice to drive. And so after renting a rental car, for the clothing factor, definitely, yeah, one of the key things is like we don't live in such cold areas, so we have to think about like also buying clothes which can be used
Withstand.
later,
Yeah. Acha.
later to like. So my funda was like to layer up more
Yeah.
layers.
Yeah.
So having like a down jacket and I have a weatherproof shell over top of it, and then having proper gloves,
Right.
and proper shoes, that is also
Right.
matters.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, still it was not enough for minus 40, I think. But there are but yeah, we could do only up to a certain extent. The interesting part was booking the Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So that was done. Uh, so while planning the trip, as we came to know that, oh, we cannot do any other much activities apart from Northern Lights because many things are closed. So we thought of maximizing the Northern Lights
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Another activity we did was like hot springs. I will
Yeah.
come to that later. Um, so we factored into think couple of things for the Airbnb. Like we researched a lot on Instagram, on Google, on Reddit, like where to stay, and we were very much interested in staying in an Airbnb to avoid the hotel experience. And because hotels are in right in city, and we wanted to
Right.
stay a little away so that we can
I think
see
it's
the
a similar
northern
setup
lights.
even in Finland, Norway. They have these kind of miniature rooms in the secluded areas from wherein you get a direct vision of the sky, and there are limited resources over there. And I don't know about the food arrangement and all, but I guess in Norway, it's if you stay deep within the forest or maybe in those areas, the food gets delivered and there is some additional charges and all.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
This was like a proper Airbnb, like
Yeah.
a very it was like a proper house, a very nice house. So we researched it on Google and Instagram,
Mm.
and we found like and also Airbnb.
Yeah.
So we found like it was called Aurora Cabin, something like that.
Nice.
And yeah, the name was only like
On
Aurora
spot,
Cabin.
on spot. It
Yeah,
gives you hope, right?
yeah. And that was so meticulously thought and planned by the owners. They had
Okay.
like Aurora cameras installed in the cabins.
Nice.
They had Aurora indicators and all. So the Aurora camera would capture the like feed of the Aurora. So if anyone misses out, you can go, and they had given the link where you can watch. So we
Nice.
thought that okay, this Airbnb owners have really put a thought of thinking that okay, people should enjoy the Aurora experience from here, and looking so that is the Aurora, that is the Airbnb we went with.
Do share the link of it, and if you're shot any video of this particular Airbnb, because I guess I'm sure there would be premium also. They would be charging for all that setup, right? But if it is worth it, then it's worth the effort and the experience also, right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I definitely share the link.
Yeah.
I would say it was worth it. On the last day, we could see some Aurora through the window.
Yeah.
So and everything else was also very good in this Airbnb. Not only the Aurora emphasis, but the facilities and the amenities given by the owner were very, very good. And then, so main thing was finding this place of stay in
Yeah.
Fairbanks, which would make our which would be comfortable as well as which make experience memorable. So main planning thing or
Yeah.
maximizing our efforts were to find such kind of accommodation.
I can see
I
that
would,
you guys had put in a lot of effort on ensuring that whatever can go wrong is being addressed before the trip,
yeah,
or at least being aware about it.
yeah. Because we had only main one activity, and we wanted to do it
Correct.
right, and then our whole focus converged on making that right.
Right.
And first is this, then the tour. I will come discuss
Yes.
about that. But then, yeah, we found a perfect accommodation for that, and the rest of the accommodation was in Anchorage. So that was again a Airbnb. That was like straightforward. Like we found some Airbnb near airport,
Yeah.
but it was like very very well maintained and very well reviewed. So we
Yeah.
just looked for that and booked it, and it was also fantastic.